What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my analysis of the new Valentine banner, which we did see a bit of in the FEH channel, but we didn't really know about the skills of these units. So I'll be going over the skills and the weapons of these units and gonna be discussing them and explaining them. So the first unit that we have is Valentine Takumi, and he's a blue mage armor. So we don't really know his stats as of yet. He's the only unit whose stats we don't really know, but he does have his preferred weapon, Dawn Sweet Box. So this does give him minus some special cooldown, and he can also get +5 to all of his stats and inflict -4 attack and speed debuff on the foe in the combat, and can inflict even more attack and speed debuff on the foe depending on the number of allies within 2 spaces multiplied by 3 who have more attack than Takumi's attack -4. So this can go all the way up to 6, and that's how we saw in the FEH channel that he was inflicting -10 attack and speed debuff on the blue flyer. So this is definitely a pretty nice effect to get the attack debuffs on the foe and just to be a bit more bulky as a save tank, and for also being a speedy save tank at that. And then he can also get effects depending on his speed minus foe speed. So if the value is greater than equal to -4, then he can reduce the damage by 30% of foe's first attack. So this is pretty good to just get that damage reduction. And if it's more than or equal to 0, then he can simply get 7 HP healing per attack, which is definitely pretty good for the self-sustain. And if he has got 4 or more speed and foe has got a damaging special and Takumi has got the weapons triangle advantage, then he's going to be able to inflict special cooldown +1 on foe before their first attack. So this is basically the special decharging that we have seen on Duo Duma and also on Brave Tiki. So this does allow you to basically be Deadeye proof from Duo Chrome, and it does need Takumi to have that weapons triangle advantage. So this decharging is only going to be working if you are going to be facing a red opponent who's going to be slower than you, and this is going to be helping you not get nuked by their lethality or Deadeye. So overall, this is a pretty nice effect to get because range armor units cannot have access to Hardy Fighter, and by being immune to the Deadeye, like pre-charged Deadeye of Duo Chrome, is a pretty good start honestly for a range armor unit. So that is overall his weapon. Definitely quite a lot of text, but I hope this was helpful in the breakdown. And he does have Luna as a special. He has got Swiss Stance 3 as a slotty skill. He comes with Savvy Fighter 3 and also has got the new Attack Speed Far Save. So Attack Speed Far Save is something which has been, long due for many of the fast save units like Winter Marth, for example. So having the speed part in the Far Save skill is going to be pretty amazing. And especially for Takumi, who is going to be a fast save tank. So he's going to be able to get that damage reduction from Savvy Fighter with his weapon, get the healing out of his weapon, and also get the decharging against the red foes with pre-charged specials. And that is going to be really helpful for him so that he can function as a fast save tank. And he can also get a lot of attack debuffs, which is definitely going to be helping him because he's not going to be having the raw bulk of many of these slower save tanks because he is a fast, range armor. So he's going to be having less BST than those melee save tanks, obviously. And he is mostly going to be having high speed, so that's why getting just a bit more bulky with damage reduction and the attack debuffs is definitely pretty helpful. So that is Valentine Takumi. Not exactly the most top tier far save tank, but is actually pretty unique because of his decharging when it comes to a range armor unit and their lack of Hardy Fighter. And that's pretty much one of the things which kind of keeps range armors from being top tier, is that they don't have access to Hardy Fighter. But still, Takumi, at least here, is going to be immune to the pre-charged Deadeye of Duo Chromes and such. And the next unit that we have is going to be Valentine Leo. So Valentine Leo is finally good, and we did see his stats in the trailer itself. So he's a Green Bow Cavalier, and he's actually going to be having a preferred weapon, which is going to be pretty solid. So we do see his stats over here, and he has got pretty high resistance and also pretty good attack stat. So he's got Dusk Bloom Bow, which does give him minus some special cooldown. And sort of player phase or enemy phase, if any of the foes in the Cardinal Direction have less resistance than Leo, then he can inflict -7 defense and resistance debuff on them, and also gravity status throughout their next action. So this is pretty amazing, and we can see that this is going to be triggering at start of player phase as well as the enemy phase. So you can actually, gravity to opponents. This is kind of similar to what we saw in the triggering of debuffs of Gregor's weapon, where it triggers at start of player phase as well as the enemy phase. So the debuff and gravity status is definitely going to be making him a pretty nice tech option in Aether Raids offense, where he's basically like a mobile tactics room essentially. And if unit initiates combat, or if he's within 2 spaces of an ally, then he can get +5 to all of his stats, and then he can get more effects based on foe's resistance subtracted by Leo's resistance. So if this is 1 or more, then he can make a guaranteed follow-up attack, and if it's 4 or more, then he's going to be able to get 20% true damage based off his resistance, which does not really include the AoE specials. And if he initiates combat, then he can just neutralize any kind of effects which prevent his follow-up attacks, which is basically the offensive half of null follow-up, and he can also reduce damage from foe's first attack by 30%. So this is honestly a pretty nice weapon, because it not only makes him, good in the combat with its, resistance-based effects, but it can also make him a pretty nice support tech option because of the gravity which he can inflict. He also has Remote Mirror, which is basically like the Remote Sparrow but the resistance version. So this gives him +7 attack and +10 resistance in the player phase, and reduces damage from foe's first attack by 30%. So this is perfect with his weapon, because if he has got 7 or more resistance than the foe, then he's also able to get even more damage reduction with his weapon. So this can stack up with the damage reduction of Remote Mirror, and he has got Iceberg and Attack Defense Fortress as his base kit. So overall, he's going to be functioning as a pretty nice tech option in Aether Raids offense. And even in Aether Raids defense, he is going to be useful and definitely pretty annoying because of the gravity effect. And in the combat, he's going to be able to get the true damage, which is really going to be helpful so that he can do more damage. And even though he's not the fastest with that base 31 speed, he's still going to be able to get the guaranteed follow-up attack rather easily. So that does make him, a pretty nice mixed phase unit. But mostly he's going to be trying to function in his player phase with this kind of weapon, and get the damage reduction with Remote Mirror and also his weapon combined. So that is Leo, finally a good alt, and this is the best Leo that we have got so far. Let's hope that at some point we can get Ascended Leo, or maybe even Legendary Leo, and he's gonna be even better. So the gravity effect is a really nice nod to the Brynhildr tome that he has got. And then we move on to the 4-star focus unit of this banner, which is gonna be Valentine Hana, and this time she is a sword armor unit. So she's going to be the 4-star focus, which means that it's a lot easier to plus and merge her, and she is going to be coming with an Inheritable sword, which is honestly one of the best Inheritable swords in the game. It's like amazing because it gives you +5 attack and speed in combat, and it's going to be having the speed check where if your speed is more than foe speed, then you get the full null follow-up and +5 true damage per hit. So having full null follow-up in your weapon is absolutely amazing. And this is going to be an amazing weapon for any kind of fast sword unit, because if you do not have access to the arcane sword or anything like that, then this is going to be absolutely amazing. So having full null follow-up in a weapon is going to be opening up your slot B skill, and it's also going to be opening up your Sacred Seal for the infantry units, where you don't really have to run null follow-up in, your Sacred Seal. And Hana is definitely pretty fast at base 46 speed, so she's definitely going to be making use out of the full null follow-up that she gets out of this weapon. And she's got Ignis, Special Fighter, and Armored Stride. So as a 4-star focus unit, having Special Fighter 3 is definitely pretty good, because you can try and get that prerequisite for Special Fighter 4 if you're trying to fodder off Winter Black Knight. Armored Stride is not really that big of a prize, because we do have Assault Troop now, and Armored Stride is usually, not that good, because most armor units are just going to be functioning as a save unit, and if they're not, then Assault Troop is just right there. So her fodder is decent, I suppose, with Special Fighter, but definitely the sword is just amazing as an inheritable weapon. So that is the 4-star focus, and now we move on to the star of this banner, who's going to be bringing new goodies for the staff units. And this is something I've been waiting for since the FEH channel, just to know, what Wrathful Staff 4 does, quote unquote, and what the Inheritable special for healers does. So Duel Elise does first of many things, and she's the first unit who has got like all 6 passive skills here. And then she has got her preferred weapon in Dust Dawn Staff, which does have Dazzling Staff built into it, and it does give her -1 special cooldown. So this is the first staff that has got -1 special cooldown built into it. And the maximum special cooldown value cannot be below 1 with this weapon. And if she initiates combat or if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, then she can get +6 attack and speed in combat, and also the offensive half of null follow-up, which allows her to bypass any kind of follow-up negation effects. And she also gets +1 special cooldown per attack. And this is going to be making it so that she can trigger Holy Pressure on her follow-up attack. So the special charges is definitely pretty good. And after the combat, if she attacked, then she can inflict the flash status on the target and the foes within 2 spaces of that target. So this is pretty amazing as a weapon because it does have -1 special cooldown and also gives her the special charges. So she's going to be the most optimal user of Holy Pressure. And speaking of Holy Pressure, let's take a look at that skill. So if any kind of assist skill is used, unit special cooldown count does not go down. And when the special triggers, it boosts the damage by 45% of foes' resistance. And after the combat, if the special triggered, then she can inflict gravity effect on the target and the adjacent foes after the combat. So this is going to be an Inheritable special similar to Vital Astra and Godlike Reflexes. And Holy Pressure is actually going to be a pretty nice thing for healers. But unfortunately, other healers don't really have access to a staff, which gives them -1 special cooldown. So a 3 cooldown special like Holy Pressure is going to be a bit awkward with them. Unless we get Arcane Staff, which does give you -1 special cooldown. So whenever that happens, I'm definitely going to be waiting for that. But yeah, Holy Pressure basically allows even the older staff units to do damage on based on the resistance of the foe. So it's not really going to be counting any of their own stats. So even the oldest of these staff units can basically make use of the special to do damage based on foes' resistance. And inflicting gravity after the combat, if you trigger the special, is just a bonus on top, which is definitely going to be pretty nice. It is going to be a bit redundant with some of the units like Brave Camilla, for example, because she can already inflict gravity with her weapon. But still, this is a nice damaging special, and this is the first of its kind. Healers didn't have access to any kind of damaging special before, so this is pretty much going to be their only option as of making this video. And I hope that Arcane Staff does have -1 special cooldown, because otherwise the 3 cooldown is going to be a bit awkward, like I said. And then she does have Attack Speed Catch 4 and Auto Recovery in her base kit. And Wrathful Staff 4 is actually called Poetic Justice. So this does have the Wrathful Staff 4 essentially, because it calculates damage from staff like other weapons. And it does inflict -4 speed on the foe in combat. And then the unit can deal true damage based on 15% of foe's attack stat. So this is definitely pretty nice for Wrathful Staff 4. And because of the speed debuff, this is going to be a lot better on the speedy staff units, because the speed debuff is going to be helping you just double a lot better. Of course, Elise is going to be the best user of this because she has the partial null follow-up in her staff itself. So getting the speed debuff is definitely pretty nice. And doing 15% true damage based on foe's attack is definitely pretty nice just for doing more damage. So Duo Elise does bring Holy Pressure and Poetic Justice as new skills for the staff units. And it's not going to be making them meta or anything like that. But still, this is a pretty nice option if you have a healer as one of your favorite units and you just, feed them all of the premium stuff. Then this is even more premium stuff to give to them. And this is going to be really unique because it's a damaging special. And then if they are a fast staff unit, then they're definitely going to be appreciating the -4 speed debuff from the Poetic Justice and the extra damage from this slot B skill. So Duo Elise is going to be pretty offensive in nature with 43 base attack and 46 base speed, so she's quite offensive, and I can see her being used in Aether Raids defense as a, unit who can inflict the flash status and also gravity at the same time. And she can also be used in Summoner Duels S because she does have this duo skill which can grant dominance to unit and allies within 2 spaces of her, and it inflicts -7 defense and resistance debuff on foes in 3 rows or 3 columns centered on Elise. So this is a pretty nice duo skill for giving dominance to your allies, and it is going to be having much better range than Duo Mikaya's skill as well. And having this dominance is definitely pretty nice for getting that damage output based on the debuffs on the foes. So yeah, this is overall going to be a pretty nice duo unit. Not exactly the most meta-defining unit, but still she is solid in Aether Raids defense and for Summoner Duels S essentially. and the gravity effect after the combat with the Holy Pressure, and the flash status is definitely pretty nice for the utility. Duo Elise is by far the most optimal user of Holy Pressure because of the -1 special cooldown in her staff, and also the fact that she has got the special charges in her weapon, so she can easily trigger this special on her follow-up attack. And she's also pretty fast, so I hope that Arcane Staff can give some kind of better way of triggering Holy Pressure for the other healers whenever it comes out. And I do think that Poetic Justice is going to be inheritable because it does have that yellow border. It doesn't really have the white border, and functionally it is going to be Wrathful Staff 4, even though it just has a different name. So I think it is definitely going to be inheritable to the other healers. We also have Valentine Effie as the Tempest Trial free reward unit, and she's basically going to be having the same weapon as Hana, but it is going to be an axe, and it is going to be on a free-to-play unit. So she's going to be in the Grail pool, and this is going to be amazing for any kind of fast axe unit. As it is, Arcane Downfall is pretty amazing weapon for any kind of fast, axe unit. But if you cannot really give them Arcane Downfall, then this is going to be the next best option because it gives you +5 attack and speed in combat, and also has full null follow-up. So this is a pretty solid weapon, and we already know the stats of Valentine Effie with base 46 attack and base 43 speed. And we do know her base kit as well, so she's got Petal Fall Vase Plus, and Smite, attack speed push 3, and also Infantry Flash 3. So that is going to be our free-to-play unit out of this batch. Overall, a pretty solid Axe Infantry unit, and definitely can make good use out of this weapon. And if you invest even more into her, then she's going to be making amazing use out of Arcane Downfall. Overall, this banner is not really anything too insane, and we're not going to be seeing any kind of really meta-influential unit out of this, but still these units are pretty strong in their own right. Duo Elise being a pretty nice staff Cavalier, and Leo also finally being good and also pretty solid unit, and a tech option in Aether Raids offense and can also be used in Aether Raids defense. And Takumi is going to be a pretty nice ranged, far-safe tank, and Hana is basically going to be your 4-star focus that you can try and merge up. So there are definitely going to be a couple of banners which you can look out for, like the Thrasier and Peony's Remix banner, and then the next month we're going to be getting a Hero Rises banner, which is going to be having 4 sparks. So depending on if you want to save the orbs or not, you can try and summon on this banner, and this banner is going to be lasting for an entire month, so you definitely have the time to even scout what new heroes banner we get this month and what kind of seasonal banner we're going to be getting the next month essentially. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to share this video with your friends if they're trying to pull on this banner, or if they just want to understand the skills that we have on this banner. And if you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps you tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the amount of time healers had to wait to get a damaging special. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.